Masters of the Martial Art, or as I like to call it, Platonic Heart, which is its actual Japanese name. This is actually the second shortest anime on this list. Tales of Fantasia has it beat by 1 episode. This one has like 5, or I thought 6, but this one actually has 5, while Fantasia has 4, and both of them are OVA, so you can kind of put them together. From what I understand, this one is based off of a visual novel. I've never actually played the visual novel, and I don't even think you can torrent it either. I'm not even sure if it's anything that they've translated. It's not like Fate Stay Night where it's already translated, or Little Busters where it's translated. But I don't exactly remember how I got into this one. I think I was just looking for, anime with hot girls in it. That's how most of us guys find our anime, isn't it? No, of course not, because they have to be, anti-sexually oriented and basically not be human, so... I'm serious, though. Anyway, I watched it. I watched, like, the first few minutes of the first episode, I think, and, this anime's kind of a bit of a... It's one of those fan service one where, girls with big boobs wearing certain kind of outfits. Like, every character sort of has a theme going, like... The main character, Aya, is obviously a schoolgirl, and for some reason she reminds me of Yuri and Mia from K-On! I don't know, I think it's the whole long-haired thing. And, then also we've got, a flight attendant girl and like a Japanese sort of kimono girl who ends up joining the team. And I use team in sort of like a weird way. It's not really much of a team because throughout the whole thing, Aya and her best friend, Natsuki, I think her name is, I can't remember. It's just them. But then there's also a maid girl, like a little loli girl, a teacher, and whatnot. And as you can probably tell from my usage of the word fan service anime, their clothes get torn up a whole lot. And just by being hit, like there's even a scene where, Aya gets beaten up in like the first episode by the flight attendant. Like she just smacks her wrist and like her shirt sleeve just like rips up and like her clothes all tear up. It's like, I seriously doubt that's possible. I mean, you'd have to be pretty dang strong to be able to rip someone's clothes based on impact. Like, by the wind. I mean, Scorpion from Mortal Kombat could probably do that. Of course, he's probably using, his thing. Yeah, I've got Mortal Kombat on the mind, sorry. Most of you probably know why. Anyway. It starts off, okay, I guess. It starts off, the whole little competition thing. The whole thing is like... it's a competition where these girls fight, and, if they win the entire thing, they get to have their #1 wish, and, they meet one of the girls who's the Japanese kimono girl. She's really into cheeseburgers, and, whatnot. Like, just burgers in general. She asks for, like, a lot of food, and then, like, they go home. They trade numbers, I think, and then they give each other, like, little bracelet things to put on their cell phones, just as, like, a sign of their friendship. But, then, Aya gets attacked by the flight attendant girl. She beats her up. And by she, I mean, like, Aya beats up the flight attendant girl. It starts off the other way around, but then Aya beats up the flight attendant girl and wins. And she goes Super Saiyan. Because there's this guy that she likes who happens to be the brother of Natsuki. I don't remember the girl's name. And that's kind of sad, especially if you actually know this anime and her actual importance. But, anyway. It starts off as one of those competition things, like, it's kind of like, what Pokemon would be if all they were doing, if the main goal is like, yeah, it's kind of like Pokemon or Beyblade or any kind of anime where, like, there's, like, some sort of competition, and most of the episodes are based around, like, everyday life and, trying to train to get to that #1 point, or whatever. And by #1 point, I mean, like, the super strong guy that you have to fight at the end of the whole competition. It starts off like that, and they meet a new character every time, and their clothes always tear up. And then, there's one episode that happens where a car pulls up after one of the girls have been beaten, and the window rolls down, and it's Natsuki's brother. I think her name's Natsuki. But, that's a little bit of a... I'm not going to call that a hint. Personally, I just call it the debut of a plot twist. And yes, there is a plot twist for this thing. And yes, I am talking while I'm looking up What's-Her-Face's name. And then, like, on the next episode, like, Aya's like, hey, I saw your brother in a car. Dabba 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 da. And it shows, like, her friend. She kind of pauses for a little bit, and she's like, She smiles and she's like, "Oh, there's nothing wrong." Natsumi, I was close. Okay, I just looked it up on Wikipedia. The other girl's name is the priestess girl's name is Miko. Miko, she disappeared. That's the whole reason why Aya is sort of. I probably should have mentioned that before. Natsumi and Aya become friends with Miko, and Miko disappears from her apartment, which makes Aya want to do this whole thing because she just wants to see her new friend again because she made a friend, and and it's been sort of a problem for Aya because she's sort of been looked at as being aggressive, and she's a martial artist, and she gets that from her mom because her mom was also a martial artist. But she's had trouble making friends, and Miko's like her first friend in probably a long time besides Natsume. I think it's Natsume and not Natsumi. Natsume. Yeah. Anyway. And so the series goes on, this anime is not that long, so the whole thing with Natsumi kind of pausing for a little bit and saying, "Oh, you have nothing to worry about," with a smile. That's a bit of like 1/2 hints. I mean, if you really consider the showing of her brother in the car as a plot twist, like I said, I call that the debut of something. It's also a hint though, but stuff goes on. Aya eventually reaches the top and beats everybody, including one of her teachers, which is pretty interesting. They end up beating. She beats everybody and whatnot. Then she gets into a building, and her wish is, of course, to see Miko again. Well, guess what? There she is. But also there's Natsume and her brother. For those of you who don't really care that much about spoilers, the whole big plot twist is that both Miko and Natsume and her brother, all three of them hate Aya because their moms fought in the previous Platonic heart, as did Aya's mom, and I think apparently according to them, I don't remember the details, but Aya's mom caused the deaths of their moms. And they also reveal what exactly happens to the losers because they disappear. What actually happens to them is that their brain gets fried and then they get sold as sex slaves to men across the whole world, I think Africa and whatnot. And that's what happens. And they show a few clips of Natsume's mom, and she has a scar on her neck, and she actually lost her voice. So she's kind of fine. But every time you actually see her inside her house, she's constantly stabbing a picture of Aya. She hates her that much. One could probably, assume that Natsume and Natsume's mom kind of influenced her to sort of hate Aya and whatnot, but we're not entirely sure. The visual novel probably explains things a little bit more and probably even goes over more stuff. But anyway, and remember those little charm things I mentioned on their cell phones? Those were actually microphone, record things so that they can communicate with each other and whatnot. But I guess they made it to where Aya couldn't hear anything, but only Miko and Natsume could hear the stuff. And so, they're trying to communicate to kind of plan. They actually brought back the Platonic heart.